Will ask that can we close the doors so that at least we start with the next presentation. To the people that are outside, we're requesting that you kindly come in. That's where the speakers are seated. Just guide him somewhere in front is one of the
Sorry? Try to advise him to don't remove the face mask while you're in the vaccine.
Okay. The next presentation is ready for us, and the presenter is very much ready for us. So can we show a bit of some respect by coming inside? We are eating into our own time. Then we would want now to prolong. Today, if we prolong, we will not, in fact, we will not even prolong. If it means cutting the program, we need to cut it. So can we quickly come inside and we start? So just a bit of some observations in terms of our health guidelines. Can we still put on our masks correctly? We're having this tendency, maybe because we're coming from tea break, then it's like we're putting our guard down. COVID has not ended, it's still there. So can we at least put on our masks correctly? Thank you. So, according to our program, between now and 13 hours, we will have 3 presentations. Of the 3, one is a virtual one, like the one that we had yesterday. We're talking in terms of moving to, together with technology. So one of the presentation is going to be a virtual presentation. But the next presentation that is about to start will be presented, okay? It's a motivational talk. This motivational talk is going to be presented by Reverend Walter Mwambazi. Just a brief bio about who Reverend Walter Mwambazi is. Chiefly, he's a transformational thought leader. He's a networker, a digital marketer, an author, copywriter, a blogger, columnist, a life coach, radio, TV personality, and his motto is to develop leaders and peak performers of tomorrow, today. I don't know if you got that motto. To develop leaders and peak performers for tomorrow, but today. So he's ready to transform you and me for tomorrow, but he'll do it today. A big round of applause to Reverend Walter Mwambazi as he presents his motivational talk. And the title is Future Skills Critical for Advancement of Today. A big hand for Reverend Walter Mwambazi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you so much. Good morning it is to all of you. Thank you so very much. A special mention of the registrar, the president, the entire committee, if they're going for the zips, and then I also wish you good luck tomorrow as you get into the AGM as well. But it gives me great honor, and I consider it a great privilege to be part of your team today. So, good morning. Yeah. So for the purposes of speaking, because their camera is filming, I don't think I had a beard or something when in actual fact it's a mask. Okay. So today I'm actually speaking on the subject future skills that are critical for your advancement. And really, just to kind of get that off the ground, our ability to master these items listed below will be critical for our ability to progress. And actually, can I get this mic? Because, thank you. And actually, not only that, it will make us greater entrepreneurs in the future. I've always believed with all my heart that even if you are quote unquote an employee, you are still essentially an entrepreneurial unit of that particular company. Your ability to perform as an individual has direct impact on how well that business goes on to succeed. But beyond that, I always love in moments and sessions like this one to also address you as an individual. So I'm speaking to you at a totally personal point, and I'm actually saying that we are at a time when the fourth industrial revolution, I noticed the minister didn't really catch that 4R properly, so he kept saying 4R. I was like, and it's fourth industrial revolution. So the fourth industrial revolution is very disruptive, extremely disruptive. And what it has done is it has completely messed up the terrain as we know it. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that it has completely changed everything you know about what you're doing. And essentially, there are three big disruptors that have taken place at the moment. You know them very well. Even when I mention them, you'll admit. The first is the internet itself. You can see that some of these presentations are going to be happening virtually. In fact, I should have been here virtually also. But my good brother, the president, just got in touch and said, referendum, send fear. So that's how I'm here. But it's amazing what the internet has done to disrupt business. And the word is very correct, disrupt. The picture is one of a wrecking ball. I hope you know what I mean by that. Huh? It's literally that big metal wrecking ball that comes and destroys everything. I mean, when it lands, wherever it lands is destruction. That's what disruption is doing. And the big issue here is, are you going to flow with the disruption, or are you going to be crushed by the disruption? So these 11 skills I'm going to outline just now are really what we need to add. And unfortunately, they are not taught in school. Wish they were. As far as I'm concerned, our education system needs a total overhaul. It doesn't mean that we don't need education. We need it because education is the number one key, and I really believe this in Africa. It's the number one key for emancipation of the African man or woman. We know that wealth in a nation sits on two places. Under the ground, what comes on the ground, and in the hearts and minds of its citizens. And the best way to harness that wealth is by enhancing the quality to read, write, and count. And that's what really education is. And in doing so, that education must address three things. It must be quality education, meaning it really must address. It has to have the quality for the standards of the day. It must be accessible. And I believe that's the biggest issue. So people should not be walking 12, 15 kilometers to get to a school. And most important, it must be relevant to the time. It must address the needs of the time. That's why I still argue bitterly over why we should learn about Otto von Bismarck. Totally irrelevant. Or the three parts of an insect. The thorax, the head, and the abdomen. I mean, unless I'm going to be an entomologist, how many entomologists do we have here? Thought so. But we're learning about those things. So for me, the education must be, what word did I say? Relevant, not so. So anyway, going back to my point, these things that I'm going to show you, these 11 skills are not taught in school today. They ought to. And by God's grace, one day when by the grace of God I'm at a place where I can influence, we'll make sure that they go in there. because we need to see education become relevant so that it addresses the needs of the moment. So the internet has totally disrupted everything. The second disruptor is globalization. I'm sure you'll all seen for yourself. And with COVID-19, one of the greatest shockers that really hit me hard in this period is just how possible it is, because the third disruptor, by the way, is COVID-19. With how easy it is for people to work remotely. Do you know the implication of remote working? You see, people who don't see so well, they are excited. Hey, but here's the reality of kusebenza kunyumba. When they realize that, so these people can work from home, and they can still deliver. You know what the next thing comes up? What's the difference between employing somebody in Bauleni and somebody in Uganda? And if the Uganda person can give me a better quality job for less money, guess who I'm going for? You know the answer, right? That's what globalization is doing, and that's what this interruption with COVID-19 is doing. So we're seeing total upheaval of life as we know it. And you haven't really seen the effect of COVID-19 yet. 2021 is really when we're going to feel this period that we've been in terms of its spillover effects. So here are these 11 skills. I'll be real quick with them. 30 minutes is short. The first one, I think, for me is the big one. It's managing yourself, the business of you. You are a business unit. Look at yourself if you can. Using your phone, of course. Look at yourself and tell yourself, I am a business unit. Say that. Sinimvera. It's what you are, ladies and gentlemen. You're a business unit. You are the force of the future. Why? Because we're moving away from a time. In fact, I foresee this. This thing of being employed permanently. Civil servants, they're the ones who are lucky right now. So if you're a civil servant, just be lucky. But it's a very temporary thing. Because even you, they are coming. Doesn't Zambia have debt? So if we have debt, what happens when they come with those conditions? What do they say? They come with ropes. Say, no, for this debt, you must change the civil use service. And you know what they're going to be saying? Procure, outsource, shanuko. So then all those jobs that used to be permanent will change. They'll say, leave the ministry at its core. Just have the core ministry, whatever that means. So then the rest, procure, outsource, outsource, outsource. So you're going to actually see more things changing, and what will begin to happen is you become a business unit. I'm not kidding. You become a business unit. You go there, you offer your service, you're paid, you're given parameters, you're given deadlines, you're given targets. You meet the targets, they don't even care if you're there. As long as you meet the targets, you're paid. Does it sound like I'm lying? That's what's coming, huh? So, which means now more than ever, the ability to manage yourself, the ability to have the discipline to run your business in the true sense of a business will get bigger. See, as we head into the future, one skill that is becoming more relevant is freelancing. That's what I'm talking about right now. So this is also termed gig management. So you may have heard that term, gig management. And the concept here is that with the uncertainty of jobs, shorter contracts, more outsourcing done locally and globally, especially the second word, globally, this is becoming a far more popular option as compared to being in employment. So gig management is becoming the way of the future. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to deflate you or discourage you. I am saying if you want to see yourself progress in future, you've got to learn how to become the greatest manager of yourself. Truth is, nobody's going to be standing on your back looking to see if you're working. Nobody's going to be breathing down your neck. They'll just give you your parameters. If you fail to meet them, they cancel the contract. So this is what is coming. So self-management will become big. So skills like project management will become very relevant. Skills like searching for business. You know, before you just knew, jacket, things happen. No, but the time is coming when you will be asked, changamuka mda, changamuka, go and get something. This is the time when you have to find your own jobs. So people like myself, I don't work for anybody. I run my own company. So this is the stuff we do every day. We look for business. So even here where I am, nabwana makadi mbwe. Sio pasa chipase pasa. Sio pasa chipase pasa. We're weighing a face that. Yes sir, yes sir. Grandma and kakad. But you see, my point is, you self-market. This is where I'll get to another point which is very important, and that's branding. We'll get to that. Managing your distractions. Now, when you are in employment, it's easy, it's affordable. Okay, let's put it this way. Let me rephrase that. That doesn't sound right. When you're in a job where your work isn't so pressuring, there's a lot of extra time. You know, you can afford to be on Facebook for 5 hours, just arguing with useless people. You can be on radio. You know, there are people who go on WhatsApp, they read all the my things, from the top to the bottom. Read more. Video. but I'll be honest with you, the busier you become, the harder it is to do that. But what is even more of a point, it's not even the fact that you read those things or you don't. What is more of a point is that those things are major distractors. If we did an audit, do you know on Facebook, I don't want to do it now because I haven't got time. On your app, there's actually a section under settings where you can actually check the amount of time you spend on your app per week. Mungafende pache hapa. 42 hours. Watch that time, 42 hours of the whole week you're just on Facebook. And you see, the truth is that 42 hours is very valuable. And if you want to understand the value of your time, one of the easiest exercises I always use is just to simply take your salary. So I like using a simple example. Let's say your salary is 10,000 kwacha. So just take 10,000 kwacha, divide it by the number of hours in a week. Okay? So in a month, then work it down to a week, and then work it down to an hour. You'll be amazed. So at a 10,000 salary, your hourly wage is about 50 kwacha. Now, take that 50 kwacha, multiply it by the number of hours you waste in a week, and then by a month. What you're going to discover is that you are wasting about 25% of your salary's worth. Just about 2,500 kwacha. In short, what am I saying? It's not that you're actually throwing the 2,500, but the time that you're spending could have been productively used because that's your time per hour. Now, if we go to television, most people spend 4 hours a day watching TV. I stopped watching TV a long time ago for a lot of reasons, but one of them is because I simply just don't have the time to watch TV. I'm one of those people that actually get into a hotel room and never switch it on until I leave, unless I'm with my wife, because my wife will switch it on. So that's fine. But I don't switch on TV. I don't watch TV. I don't watch news. All the news has agenda. It doesn't matter. ZNBC, CNN, everybody has an agenda. So I would rather pick my news. But the major reason is because the time, I've come to really value time, because I realize that every hour I could be productive. If you're the club type, right? So weekend you go to the club. Fine, you go to the club, that's fine. But are you networking there? Are you actually connecting with people that are going to progress your life? Or are you all just just chilling? No, it's it. No, PF is going. No, your PND is going. Arsenal. For me, I call those very unproductive conversations. I would rather be in a room with people that I know I can have a conversation and progressing in the area that I want to progress. So I would rather spend my time with such people. So time is such a critical component, and when you are talking about future skills to master, the management of distractions is a big one. People literally work like this. Let me demonstrate. In offices. These things, I don't know what they're like. They go in the toilet everywhere. And then they work like this. They put the phone on the desk. And then this is the keyboard. Now that may look fine, but take it from me. Do an audit of your time. Just try it. There are apps right now you can download to audit where you spend your time in a week, and then see the pie chart when it comes up. You'll be stunned. People are so addicted to these phones. It's the last thing they leave as they go to sleep. Not even their wife or husband, it's the phone. Kaka yaka kalight usiku. You just see a glow in the dark. Mzee muntu kaipa 4 in 02. First thing when they wake up in the morning, toilet. God help us. Okay, I've made enough fun of the phone, but do you realize the point I'm putting across? These things have become such a distraction. We've seen videos of people walking into ditches, walking into pits, falling into, really, walking into lampposts because of phones. And let's not even start driving and on the phone, because I've seen them, right, on traffic. So these things have become a nightmare. They are the biggest distraction. And if you want to be productive, you must cut them off. Just a little scientific data I got the other day. Did you know that it takes the average person 25 minutes to get into a concentrated state? In terms of those brain waves, it's actually called the beta state, the beta state. Just go to alpha, beta. Beta is where you're like literally reading and focusing and concentrating. So in that beta phase, to hit that beta phase, you need 25 minutes to get into that state. So every time you get into that state and then ding, a message, then you go to check the message and come back, you will need another 25. That's why some people struggle to study. That's why some people struggle to finish reports, finish presentations, because they are too distracted. Now I know it sounds really simple, but I'm serious. That's why some people, more past assignment, they are still fighting with the assignment on the day of presentation. Where's the booty? Never mind. And then still, even when they're struggling, Number 3, managing relationships. This is another really big one. I personally find the whole idea of phones detestable. I use phones myself because obviously I'm in business and I really, really use it as a business tool. But I must chonga myself. I'm extremely disciplined when it comes to putting the phone down and paying attention to people in the real world. You will find, I see this. This morning we were having breakfast. I was watching people. And there were people having breakfast with what looked like their spouses or partners or business colleagues. And they were on their phones. I was like, man, this is rough. So real relationships are being sacrificed for so-called social media. You can't form real relationships. You go into meetings, and sometimes for whatever reason, people are late for the meeting. So you come in there, you sit. In the old days, you just sit because there's nothing you can do. So you just sit. Somebody walks in. How are you? Good. How's the family? You could actually have a conversation in those days. These days, you go into meetings, everybody's. Until the chairman starts the meeting. Okay, let's start the meeting. Phone spans. And then some people still won't even switch off the phone. Sorry. Silent. And then the one that I think is such a detestable habit is leader for 9. I won't take it. So just know that's how they're also treating you. So the best thing you should do is put those phones on silent. Try and not have your phones as part of your appendage when you're dealing with real people. Take time to really look at people and really interact with them. Networking is one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn as far as your progression is concerned. And managing relationships and networking go in the same line. How well are you managing your connections in real life? In communication, one of the things they teach so much is face-to-face meetings. You know why? Because a face-to-face meeting, there are so many things happening. There's body language, there's posture, there's so many things, isn't it? So you can see a person, even if they say something, the posture will say something else. And that will communicate. But these days, try doing that on a text. That's why sometimes, depending on the level of relationship you have with your spouse or something, sometimes you end up quarreling because the way your text came, you know, they're like, what do you mean? No, what I meant. No, this is what I don't like. Yeah, quarrel. So from there now, 30 minutes, you're just quarreling on the phone with someone. But you see, if you can manage these relationships, they'll make a big difference for you. Why is the big deal with relationships? They are your door openers. A lot of people don't realize actually the greatest door to progress is relationships. I'll give an example. For example, there is the president here, and there is also Mr. Mwawi. And I can tell you that both gentlemen, I met them when you guys invited us to come and speak with my friend Dr. Sokuni some years back. And I picked up cards as I always do. And after picking up those cards, I got in touch and stayed in touch throughout. Not because I expected any business or any, just kept in touch. They can testify. I just keep in touch. Hi, a message. Hey, hi, a message. So on a day when a decision needs to be made, and they're thinking, which speaker can we bring? Then they'll go, there's one Mambazi. Mambazi, no, you can't. Then the president can even send a message. Just come and wire the meeting live. You know why? Because there's a Now the problem with a lot of people is they don't invest in relationships. Then they expect on the time they have a need, that's when they come. It doesn't work like that. What investment are you putting in? Even just time itself is good enough. Kafon kofi. Hi nigga. How are you, sir? How is everything? Mama, how is everything? Now we thank God. And for some of us, we've taken it to a whole other level. I have a lot of ICT tools, which you also have on your phones. And you can use those tools to take note of details, find little details about the people that you communicate with regularly. And those little details become powerful when you communicate. I'll give you an example. You meet someone and you say, hey, how's that little young one? I remember last time we spoke. Your wife just came from delivering and you were rushing all over the place. How's it going? Now, all of a sudden, that's powerful. How can they remember such a fine little detail? You know how I remember it? There's a section on contacts called notes. I write such things. If I call you and we speak and you tell me something momentous in your life, I'll take note. If there was a funeral, I call you as a funeral, I ask, who's passed on? Oh no, my mother, I'm so sorry. That's it. 1 year later, we bump into each other. I check my contacts, I remember, check your details, I say, by the way, how's the family coping after the exit of the father? Let me tell you guys, that just puts you at another level. Am I lying? Instant, you move from, they are looking out for something from me, to, this guy cares. They even remember. You see my point? So that's what I'm talking about. And that's just one component. We can do a whole seminar just on that. Now, as a marketer, these are very critical skills you need. So that when you are communicating with people, even at entrepreneurial level, phone. And it's the type where now you're trying to switch it off, then it's hanging. And then could be battery or choice. I'm not going to choose such a battery because finished. I'm almost finished. So, you see, these relationships, when you take note of these small details, they make a massive difference. I mean, I'm a seller. I'm a marketer. This is my core service. I mean, I just met Major Shamabobo just now, and we were just chatting. I used to go and do a lot of selling at National Assembly. MPs, everybody. Ministers, I did a lot of sales. And so when I met her, I remembered one of the things that I used to do was that I would ensure that I sit with them and I chat with them and I get to know more about them. And many times when you come back, the conversation isn't just about selling. You could start off, and it can still be very effective, 5 minutes, but you can still talk deep things in 5 minutes and be on your way to your next client. Those are what we call in sales unique selling propositions, USPs. Now I'm talking at a personal level. Remember, this list is about 11 skills you need at a personal level, right? That you can utilize for future advancement. Number 4, and that's the last one I'll do today. There are 11, but time. We have to follow the rules. By MC, but police and a paper. 5 minutes. Tamvera, boss. So managing your relevance to society. This is a deep one also, eh? You know, we live in a very dynamic world. You'll agree with me, right? Everything is changing constantly. Even, I don't know how your profession is, but for example, ICT is the scariest one. Because in ICT, even what you know now with degrees becomes irrelevant in 2 years. Totally irrelevant. Like literally go back and relearn everything. Now, for example, I'll give you a very good example. Right now, the Chinese have had a strategy on Africa. So what have they been doing? They've been coming to take over and lay Chinese infrastructure in the form of Huawei. And this infrastructure is sitting in many places, okay? Infratel, which is one of our core infrastructures, is all Huawei run. MTN, Airtel is Huawei run. So ask me what happens with the Oracle people. You see where I'm going? So if you see in an Oracle, you'll find you are on your own. When you go everywhere, do you know how to operate the Huawei system? And you know, all these people want certified engineers. It's not like you can just go in there and say, no, I can guess. No. They've got guarantees on their equipment, so you must have a certified individual in our operational system. And that's why you find many times you have to stay relevant. Even if you're in zips like you are, you need all the time to be looking, what are the relevant things going on in my space? What is changing? What is transforming? For me, I even dare say that even if you are a member of the Zambia Institute of Purchase and Supply, try and find a way to connect to the Chartered Institute at Africa level. As an individual, if they can allow that, do it. So that you are also connected at that level. So when certain changes begin to happen at that level because of the changes happening on the world platform, you are alert to those changes. Am I making sense? Don't be those types who say, oh, Ife, world didn't go change. Yes, it's changing. It's not going to stop changing. It will keep changing. So the only thing is either you change or you become a dinosaur, which is better. It's a very unfortunate situation. Life is changing every day, but we have to change with the times. Because unfortunately, relevance is a big deal. So if we're not relevant, we become discarded. And that's why I always encourage so much that stay plugged in. Connect to all the professional bodies. If you have high-flying individuals in your profession, get to have them as your mentors. You know, connect to them. Associate at that level. Not every time, sorry, I was going to mention the place again. Not every time you go to some cheap joint where you just drink beers all weekend. No. Why don't you go and be part of, Lions Club or something and meet all those filthy rich people? Because they are the ones who are the influencers after all. Let me tell you, when it comes to life, the way I know it, 2 individuals are sitting in an office. I'm the owner of the company and I'm making a decision. And they both have the same qualifications. I'm picking the one I know. Lying or true? That's how life is, not so. And so how do you know these people? You know them from wherever you hang out with them. So one good friend of mine said, stop going where drinks are cheap. Because when you go where drinks are cheap, everybody says, Vakateka, big buyer. Nine months up, we know it. But big buyer. Okay, so my time is finished. I was given 30 minutes.
By the power vested in me as a director of programs and going by what I'm getting from the audience, who am I not to give another 5 minutes?
So how many minutes? You know we have to follow rules.
5.
5, okay. So I can drop another point.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next one. My boss over there on the controls. The next one, sir. Managing your awareness. Okay, I can move with this one fast. Your ability to stay plugged the differences. You know, this is the same thing I've just been saying. Try and find a way to stay connected and relevant to your field and your area of operation. Don't be a dinosaur. Number 6. Okay, this one, let's talk a bit about the networks. But though the fans and followers is big, eh? That one is just, there's no time for me to really get into that part. So let's go to the network. Manage your network well. I have found that when you meet new people, here's what you do. Whenever you meet new people, number 1, don't talk about yourself. Have them talk about themselves. Number 2, find a way to add value to them, not the other way around. You know why? Because you're going to trigger something called the law of reciprocity. Every human being by nature, when you do something good, at a subconscious level, you want to return a good thing. Is that not so? You want to do something good back. So when you find a way to do something good, especially to someone of senior level to you, they will always feel compelled to also acknowledge what you did and do something good in return. So don't be one of those who goes there and you're busy trying to pitch. No. I found the better option is find a way to help. Find a way to give. That's why, let me give you a very good example, which sounds odd. You meet somebody who is very high flying, or they come and you find them and you sit, and you know each other maybe because you see each other at church or something, I don't know. But you find them and they are in a hotel where drinks are expensive. I'm stressing that part. So when you find them there, what do? You sit with them and you begin to talk. And as you talk, make an offer. Yes, they are much richer. Yes, they are much more powerful than you. But you make the offer. Sir, can I get you a drink? Let them refuse. And just brace yourself, because if they say, okay, let's have a But that drink, life yak. It's okay, die a little. You know, I don't know how many of you have watched the movie by Will Smith, the one called The Pursuit of Happiness. There's a very, very touching part, but powerful, where Will Smith, you know, he's sleeping in a train station with his child if he fails to find room at the soup kitchen. And he is at the front of the office in the street. And the boss comes and he parks his car and he's looking for money. This is the owner of the company. He's looking for money. He doesn't have it. He says, do you have a $5? And that's his last $5, which he's supposed to use to climb on a bus to go with his son. But he takes it and says, yes, sure. Gives the boss the $5. Thank you. For him, $5 is nothing. This guy works at the company. He should have $5. But he took out that $5. What I'm saying is, the concept of doing something good is very powerful. Just learn it. It's not just the pastor at church, or the prophet, or the papa. You can do this to anybody, really. Because life doesn't end with just the papa. It extends to other human beings. So when you find people that are superior to you, learn to do that. It's a powerful principle. People, for example, people from the Congo and a number of places really know this principle well. That's why you find even Congolese, okay, they like doing that, but truth be told, it's just a culture for them that when they always find somebody superior, they'll always give to that person. But many times also that person will want to give to the people that come to see them. So there's almost this exchange. If you've ever interacted with Francophone people, there's almost this exchange of gifts. Like you've come with your gift, but then they also give you a gift. It's a powerful principle in the culture, which we need to learn as Zambians. Not every time it's just about you, me. And that's why we can't progress. So, manage your network. And lastly, it's not the 11th one, but Kai Intao. Lastly, manage your digital platforms. This is very powerful, this one. You know, the digital platforms are the things transforming people from being nobodies to somebody. How many of you have got a LinkedIn platform? LinkedIn. How many are on LinkedIn? Good number. The ones who are not, I'm not saying that you are missing. I'm just saying for a professional of your caliber, you should be on LinkedIn, not Facebook. That's all I'm saying. Now, let me go further. There's people who raised their hands and said they're on LinkedIn. When did you last update your LinkedIn whatever? Just to update it to say, Tenzeku Zips annual conference. When did you update? Maonaka. Yet, a lot of you don't realize that LinkedIn is your floating, living CV. Everything that I do personally, I update. That's why a profile kaoneka kotanu. Kafika kozaba, this guy. Kanshi ni day wafaka koka. Even to inform Supanga says, featured on Shani. We were at the ZIPS annual conference, 8th national conference, wafaka. Don't belittle these things. Because when somebody goes and looks like, these are compliant. I'm sure he knows the registrar. What's that gonna make sure a picture of a registrar? I'm telling you, now our president wants it. On the profile, interacting as we discuss the future of 4th industrial revolution. Ndeka status, kwa, nama picture. Nina ama. When people look at the profile, they even say, these are serious. They even know the president. Yes, I know the president. Nimunandi president. Okay, I'm done. So, thank you so much. Have a wonderful morning.
Reverend, before you leave, I'm the director of programs, and I think I'll take that privilege. Reverend Otamwambazi will ask you to take a seat.
Yes, sir.
We will not decide, we want you to be on the hot seat now. People still have itchy ears, and they still want to ask certain questions. I know the presentation has not been finished, so I'll ask the team, do we do questions? Because it was a motivational talk, and I cannot override the majority. So I'll ask what the majority thinks. There is some 10 minutes that we're supposed to accord to him for questions and answers. Do we do that since it was a motivation? Remember his motto, develop leaders and peak performers of tomorrow today. Have we been developed today? So can we scrap the 10 minutes instead of questions? He proceeds and finishes. You have 10 more minutes, sir.
Thank you. Nizayendisa. Mzantayima by master of ceremony. Okay. So what was I saying? Just update those things. I'm telling you, it looks like a simple thing. We may be laughing about it, but I'm dead serious. The first thing that human resource people do these days, whenever you take an application, is they quickly look for your digital footprint. They quickly do. They just enter your name, telephone number. They look for your digital footprint. That's why some of you just stop at the can see eating in Shima at home. You are a ZIPS professional, for crying out loud, compliant for that matter. Why are you posting in Shima? Post Vanzel, why? You're walking past something, and then, okay, maybe the president is making a speech on the same speech you made, the president. Hey, Shano, what? So the profession is doing this, the president, what? I'm talking about the head of state. And so now you do a post, you put his picture there. You say, today the head of state was addressing issues in our space. And he touched on 2 issues, whatever they are. And then, power, boom, kaenda. People start saying, this guy is serious. Not that today I'm just at whatever restaurant. No. Restaurant is for your personal profile, friends only. Those professional things are what you post. So like I said, make sure we've got the registrar here, we've got the president here, the vice president. We've got powerful people. Don't have that thing of saying that, hello, I'm from Kawamba. I'm also part of the Shine. I'm compliant. Oh, yes. Oh, can we take a picture, sir? No problem. Picture. And here at least you had the chance, there's no dust, so sapato. A picture. And you know there are photographers here, professional ones. So make sure that framing and framing, especially if it's the registrar or the president. Let me tell you, there's something profound, because you must remember, when you look at these algorithms on these digital platforms, what they do is they pick certain names. So Bachibwe is the president of Zips, right? Now, as the president of Zips, that combination of his name and Zips go together on an algorithm. So every time people search for him, all his pictures pop up. Now, if you are the type who posts on LinkedIn, the picture of the president you post on your first Facebook profile, those signals go into that same thing. And what will happen, your picture will pop up. You'll be there. Now, if that happens several times, you start appearing all over. So people start wondering, who is this? Who is this person? So they'll start going to search for you. Because there are some people who are addicted to their phones, so they've got nothing to do. So they'll start searching for you. Now, as they search for you, that algorithm pops up. Your name starts appearing more and more and more. It's just that I'm not here to teach on digital strategies for progress. But I can tell you, that's how people build a profile online. And I'll be very honest with you, perception is everything. People will look for an expert based on perception rather than on what they can. True or not true? Next one. Master Chairman, please be guiding me. This is the one I wanted to speak on. This is very important. This one, I can't even emphasize how important personal branding is. That's why I'm saying make a deliberate decision about how you dress, how you conduct yourself on any digital platform. And I mean that. Because like I've said before, there are some pictures that should never be on social media. Am I making sense? They should never be on social media because they go into that cloud and they'll never come out from there. They'll just be brought up at the most irrelevant time. You see, you may think you're just a procurement officer today. Tomorrow, who knows, you might be sitting on a presidential advisory board. Zambia State Intelligence does a lot of investigations. They go deep into your past. So Vinangu, don't be posting. Especially if you're the type who likes to get drunk, get the slash. Watch Tamonga, you have a war with alcohol. Naka picture, so because I've got colleagues who they drink so much, they are so high. Then the friends, you know, this kind of thing when you're young guys. The friends even take a beer bottle, put it next to a guy who's sleeping like a photo. End up on social media. Imemonga basira comes up on a critical time. You've changed your life, you're going somewhere, somebody brings that picture, our friend. Am I making sense? So be very careful with your brand. That's why for me, you can search my entire world, you're not going to see anything to do with what I personally do. It is always relevant to my profession. That's what I put up there. So there are certain fields also I don't touch much, like politics, you stay away. For this particular period, I can't afford to be in politics. And I mean that literally, right? Yes. So I can't afford to be in politics. So I will not make my very strong vocal positions known politically on my walls. Because we don't know who will be there tomorrow. You might have new people. You might have the same old people. And then you were busy somewhere in Ghana. That's why I agree. So don't someone. Then next one. We're almost done. Okay. Number 9, managing your communications. This one you know. Any one of you who did an MBA, you know this topic. You may have forgotten, but it's a very important one. How you manage communication. It's such a critical component. I'm not going to waste your time on this. Next one. But you need to make sure you go back to your notes from the MBA and put them to practice. Don't just write at the, what do you call it? At the sender, receiver, decipher. No, put that to practice. Next. Then number 10, time management. You know this one as well. I was very surprised the other day. I did a presentation it's not a presentation, a training, a 3-hour training on time management. The MTN guys were shocked. They didn't even know there was that much content on time management. It's such a serious subject. And it ties in very well with the other topic we're handling on managing distractions. Not so. Do you use a diary meticulously? Do you use a scheduler? Do you have a timer? Have you managed your time in full? Do you prioritize? Do you segment? Do you have goals? The 4 imperative things to do on a daily basis. Do you work with a task list? These are critical. Do you put timelines? Do you follow those religiously? Very important. Number 11. This, my friends, is where we should do an entire seminar. This one here. Because everything has moved into that space. And so now more than ever, the relevance of knowing ICT items has become almost indispensable. We're running a course on the use of all these digital platforms for enhanced productivity. And so if those of you are interested, you can, I don't know how you do it, but you can get in touch through Zips or something. But we have a course we're running because we realize most people just Zoom alone, they struggle. The whole meeting, when you start a Zoom meeting, you spend 15 minutes. There's a button there. There's a button. You know what I'm talking about, right? 15 minutes meeting, chabe mulipa button. Audio. Then finally audio ya bwela manje. Manje video, please. Picture, ili uko. And then pokamba wakamba. So you realize that people are struggling with these things, so they need some orientation on how to use these tools. And that's just Zoom alone, eh? We haven't even gone to screen share. Thank God that you are all decent human beings in this room, because some people have shared scary things in the name of screen share. Ati mwe baba zimyani screen party. Vamene sivifuni kuoneka vioneka zimyani. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Walter Mwambazi, for you, ladies and gentlemen. How many of us are enjoying the program? Okay, thank you so much once more. A round of applause to our Reverend. That was a very good motivation talk, and I'm sure we're motivated. We will be coming tomorrow's leaders today. At this juncture, we're going to go into our second presentation of the day. I'll call my co-presenter, Mr. Polite Hamaleka, to guide us during this session. The presenter will also be given 30 minutes to present, and then we have some 10 to 15 minutes question time. Introducing from Southern Chapter, Zips, Mr. Polite yesterday. Amen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we take over. I would say the Reverend, he has a swag. He has a swag. You know, the way he was presenting, if he wasn't a reverend, I would have said, maybe he's part of those people they call amanyori nyori. This time around, before I call the one who is going to present our next session.
Sorry, just a small announcement. I know the program was shared, and because of the interesting topics that we have, and then also coupled with the power that went a bit earlier, we're pushing the program a bit by 30 minutes. Instead of going for lunch at, our program is showing 13 hours, we'll go at 13:30, if it's okay with the team. Thank you.
You know, at times we, as procurement personnel, we have ethics. We are supposed to be jovial people, ever smiling. So even when we are in this mass, we are supposed to see that this one is smiling, is happy. Just from here, we can still see. Tell your neighbor that it's good to be here. Unless you are seated with a very bad neighbor that cannot even tell you to say it's good to be here. Say, neighbor. Say, neighbor. It's good to be here. You know, if you are seated with a bad neighbor, sorry, you will not hear that. Tell your neighbor, neighbor, next year we are coming here. Thank you so much. I will again give you just a brief story that I've been requested to share with you that I never finished. I was moving with my wife into town. Just the moment we reached town, we are heading to the bank. I dropped, and she also dropped. I was driving. Then we met her colleague, very short guy and slim. So my wife introduced me to say, before introducing me, she told this gentleman, say, meet my husband. And now this slim and short guy points at me at this one. You can imagine how I felt as a man, as a husband. This short man points at me. My wife says, meet my husband. Then this guy says, this one. I looked at this guy. Then we greeted a little bit. Then we moved, went to the bank. From there, I went into the car. She joined. I sat to the passenger's seat. She said, no, sweetie, come and drive. I said, no, I'm not feeling well. I said, I'm not feeling well. I've realized that we've sat for so long without laughing too much. I'm just adding on what the Reverend gave us. So then she knew that things were not okay. She came and started driving. It was a distance to the plot. And she was just, I was also very quiet. Yes, and she realized to say, the heat and the tenseness here, you could even feel it. Then I just said, sweetie, I'm sorry. I said, no, things are okay, don't worry. Then she insisted, no, sweetie, I'm sorry about that man. Then I said, which one? We shall continue. We shall continue. This time around, we'll be having a presentation on small and medium enterprise, SMEs in the supply chain. We'll also look at their roles and the importance in developing the economy. We talk about the Zambian economy, or generally the economy. And our presenter, I'll start by giving you his CV. He is a council member or former president for Zambia Chamber of Mines. He's very heavy in his CV. For Barika Lumwana Mining Company. Barika? Barika? No, me, I'm Tonga. You know it, okay, you know it. Yes, you know it, you know it. Yes, 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 yes. He's also a former chairman for Zambia Business Forum. I will tell you to clap for me later on. Just relax. He's also the country manager for Barrick Lumwana Mining Company. And his name is Mr. Nathan Chishimba. Let us clap for him as he comes forward to give us this presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And I feel very intimidated to speak after some very enthusiastic and charismatic speakers. But I guess mine will be a very pedestrian performance. So with all protocols observed, I'd like to start my presentation. Next slide, please. I just want to share a little bit about Lumwana. Lumwana is part of a global company called Barrick, which is one of the top gold producers in the world, but they also have a very good portfolio of copper mining companies. And the mission of Barrick is to be the world's most valued gold mining company. They specialize in finding, developing, and owning the best assets. And I suppose by extension that means Lumwana, which is a very good copper asset for them, with the best people to deliver sustainable returns for our owners and partners. By partners, we mean the government, whose resources we're mining, the local community, and other stakeholders. Now in Barrick, we have what we call license to operate, which we abbreviate as LTO, which allows us and our stakeholders to build that confidence locally and nationally to ensure that Barrick is able to continue mining and construct where we find something and operate and of course close mines. In terms of our drivers and actions, we focus on three things. That's our environmental protection, make sure the impact of our mining operations on the environment is as minimal as possible. Then we also seek to align our interests and priorities with both the government and our local communities and other stakeholders. And also we carry out respectful and transparent engagement. So in terms of our corporate social responsibility, we do three things. We engage, we mitigate impacts, and we share benefits with our stakeholders. Now, in terms of Lumwana, when Lumwana was conceived and constructed, it was in an area of the country which is not substantially endowed with infrastructure. It was a rural area, and as such there were many challenges. For instance, to get to Lumwana, we we had to reconstruct what we call the T5 highway, which is the road from Solwezi going to Munilunga. We also had to extend the grid. The furthest point of the national grid was at Solwezi. We extended that into Lumwana, which was 100 kilometers away. And that is just part of the construction we had to go through to set up what we now call Lumwana. I recall when I first went to Lumwana, the moment you go out of Solwezi, you reach the outskirts of Solwezi at Kiawama Market, the signal for your phone disappeared, and you wouldn't get it until you came back to Solwezi. So we had to engage in that kind of construction to ensure that the supportive infrastructure at Lumwana would enable the operation of a big mine like Lumwana, which is now one of the top 2 mining companies in Zambia. Also at inception, because of the reasons I've described, yes, we had some farmers, but these were subsistence farmers, which I think some politicians referred to as vulnerable but viable farmers. But they were not in any position to conduct any kind of serious commercial activity. So we had a situation where most of our suppliers, more importantly, which was one of the mandates we promised the government, was to thrust economic activity so that Lumwana area became a very viable economic hub, both for the northwestern province and for the country. So the aim of this hub was to promote local business and growth, and also ensure that we promoted local community local procurement opportunities, developing the SMEs in the rural area, in the local area, developing sustainable livelihoods, increasing non-mine business investment, because one particular area of importance which is often underestimated is that mining companies are only seen in terms of the tax revenue they contribute. The contribution they make to the development of the local economy is hardly ever acknowledged. Then we wanted to create a business enabling environment for the local companies. So what have we done in terms of that? We have entered, we know our core business is mining. So we have defined a network of partnerships. I'll not go through the whole list, but of course, government major departments are important in helping us develop the SME sector. The United Nations, through the ILO, AMSCO, MUSICA, I think all of you know the USA project MUSICA, Prospero, which is a DFID, formerly called PEP Zambia, the UN Let's Read program, IDE Zambia, SLIP, and the last one is one of our contractors, yes, who do our catering on site. We have a very robust catering mechanism for over 4,000 employees that we have on site. So we believe this network has allowed us to deliver a spend of over 80% of all our total procurement in Zambia. So we spend 80% of our procurement is done in Zambia, and I emphasize local registered companies because you might think, I just have to clarify in the interest of transparency that registered companies, so these include the likes of Puma and so on, but importantly, a growing segment of that is in the local area. We also do a very proactive business incubation program where we've been supporting close to 163 active local SMEs. I'll provide some detail of that later, where we proactively coach and mentor these businesses. One of my colleagues, Lance, is one of the key players in this. And we like to ensure that these suppliers, their capacity is enhanced and improved through this coaching and incubation process. I'll come to the next point on the next slide, the categories of C1, C2, C3. So what we mean by C1, the red circle, is the businesses and SMEs that are within the local community. That is from one of the three chiefdoms. Lumwana has three chiefdoms, Mukumbi, Mumena, and Matebo. So a business is classified as C1 if it comes from one of those areas. So if you want to really support and supply to Lumwana, you're better off being domiciled in the immediate impact area of the mine, which is the red circle. Then we recognize that other businesses will be from the provincial area. We classify that as C2. And finally, we have the C3 category, which covers the rest of Zambia. That's how we classify companies that deal with Lumwana. So in terms of cumulative local spend, I think you will see from the graph that Lumwana, since inception, has spent close to, over $3 billion on local companies, procurement from local companies, and close to 80 million in terms of the local companies. And as you can see, all these categories, both the national and the local procurement, have been progressively increasing. So we think something is really happening there, and we are really making an impact in the local community. Next slide, please. So recently, of course, we've been hit with COVID, and what we've done is with Prospero Zambia, which is former PEP, we have organized about £150,000, which has been used to support the companies in the local area. And also, we have conducted free business entrepreneurship skills training to local Zambian companies, especially in the C1 area, because that's our real focus. We want to really push up those companies in the C1 area. Next slide, please. So as I said earlier, we have several initiatives that we're running in terms of business incubation and training. And this has really assisted our local community, particularly in terms of growing their capacity to do business. And we are working with various agencies in terms of getting the relevant skills and the capacity for these small and medium scale enterprises to not only deal with the mining company, but also to develop skills for their own income generation. So we have a dual objective in that sense, that yes, mining companies, small and medium scale companies can deal with Lumwana, but then they can also do other things to enhance income generation in the Lumwana area. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the examples. You have a truck there doing crushed stone. You have an abattoir. You have industrial complex, I mean, something to do with creating business growth. You have markets, you have sheds. So we are trying to create, as we were mandated by the government, a business hub right in the northwestern province. Next slide, please. We have also done specialist skills like carpentry, metal fabrication, and all these are items that we either donate into the schools that we are in our area, and sometimes these individuals they can sell these commodities they're producing, window frames, doors, school desks, and so on. Believe you me, those are not sausages, they are tomatoes, but I think when we configured this, they were elongated. We also have horticulture, fishing. So, as I was saying, we have a variety of business activities that we're promoting. We focus on women particularly with horticulture, potatoes. You've seen the greenhouse there. They're producing some vegetables. Next slide, please. An extension of our business initiatives, greenhouses, with associated water infrastructure. And then you know northwestern province is very famous for its very delicious beans. So we've commercialized an agri-business beans processing initiative with some very modern equipment, which our women are engaging in. Now I like this slide because it emphasizes one of the things we have introduced. You may not be aware that you may not associate northwestern province with cattle or dairy, but we've developed a very successful dairy program. And what we do actually is we use the girls in the community to adopt animals, procure animals, and then they then have a cooperative which produces milk for the region, which we are very proud of. Next slide, please. This is what I meant. This has nothing to do with mining, absolutely nothing. But this is a women empowerment scheme. We have a women cooperative called Saboyetu, which means our wealth. And that's all sorts of artifacts, extract oil and so on. So this is something that we're very passionate about. Creating, the Saboyetu actually is a women's savings and investment initiative which has been very successful. And we think that through this initiative, women will have entrepreneurial skills, they'll be able to invest, they'll be able to create a culture of business literacy. I just want to beat my chest a bit and say, as Lumwana, we've won Best Performer in Local Content in the years 2017 and 2018 under the Chamber of Mines. We do an awards dinner every year. We didn't do one last year and this year. Best Performer in Occupational Health Safety, which is very important to us. One of our slogans is everybody going home healthy and safely. We also have demonstrated by being the best performer in environmental management, again under the Chamber of Mines. And of course, for 2 years successively, we've been designated as the best mining employer and mining company of the year. So we have plenty to be very, very happy about. And your own distinguished conference has conferred us with the best local economic empowerment implementation winner. So all these things give us confidence that when we involve our local SMEs in the area, we can actually do great things. And I'd would like to share some key takeaways on that. The first being that good SME growth requires dedicated intent and focus. Like I said, before we produced the first ton of copper back in 2008, we had already started in 2006 to invest in our local community and create the vision that they can actually participate in our supply chain and help us propel the local regional economy. We also know that to perform successfully, SMEs must be supported through direct interventions and support structures. In our supply chain department, we have a dedicated local procurement specialist whose only singular focus is to deal and develop local contractors. That has shown over the years as more and more local companies have come through. So mostly when people come to you in Lusaka, where I sit, to say, look, can I supply Lumwana? I always advise them, go to the local area, establish yourself there, you have a better chance of supplying Lumwana. We also believe that SMEs must be supported by giving them opportunities to work with what we call the major contractors and the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers. Because oftentimes there are certain services like maybe just grinding down a bearing or doing this, which can be done locally. So if you involve SMEs in that, it creates the value that you can use to integrate into your supply chain and spread the benefits into the community. We also think that SME development must be based on a business case. So we're not there for charity, but we are there to create business partners who will help the mine and the local community to develop linkages that will create the opportunities for the local people and the local economy progress. We believe we have a very well-structured approach to SME development, as we have shown through linkages with partners like Prospero and the others. So we think that that's a more viable approach to local content development than just saying give X percent to local suppliers, because sometimes they may not have that capacity. But if they are given a chance and the training, we think that can yield very positive results. And as I've said, SMEs will provide a very solid plank to develop and share benefits in the local community. You can go in there and hand out meal and things like that, but if you create opportunities through SMEs, we believe that's the best channel which you can use to develop very useful linkages with the community. And that's all I had for you this morning. I've not been as enthusiastic as probably as the other presenters, but as we say in my language, where I come from in Northwestern Province, Wasanta Mwani.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chishimba, for the wonderful presentation. I don't know if you allow him, since he's already taken his seat, that you can ask maybe 2 or 3 questions, then he will allow him to respond from where he's seated. I think from his presentation, the main thing, though we know that Lumwana is putting a lot into, or is adding also into the national GDP, he also showed us how they manage their corporate social responsibility. They are our all-weather partner. We have seen how they've helped the nation through Northwestern Province by networking and also in health, education. We've seen what they are doing and we need to appreciate them for that. The main thing from the presentation also that we are looking at, which is more centered on small and medium or growing companies, is how they are also supporting them in ensuring that they also become big companies that also add something into the national cake. Maybe we can call for questions, just 2 or 3 questions. You can give him the mic.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Mr. Chimba. My name is Ernest Washenyambe, the chairperson for Lusaka Chapter ZIPS. All the areas that you are impacting the nation in so many ways. My interest is in connection to the conference that we have today, and also your department in the supply chain field. I know the capacity for Lumwana by the numbers that you mentioned, 4,000 plus employees, stands a better chance to be a training field for the newly qualifying professionals in our institution. Is it in your space that you could maybe work hand in hand with the ZIPS institution to create a deliberate structure or decision to have a training center for procurement and stores professionals that are interested in joining the mining sector, be it trainees or any other as the institution would deem it fit? Because I want to believe that the rate at which Lumwana is growing from inception to date stands a better chance to train as many as the institution would handle in capacity. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Another question? We'll just take 2. We need to cross over to another session. Another question? Oh, it's a blessing. You only have 1 question. Oh, there's another one there.
Thank you very much. My name is Gifty Zulu. It is commendable that Lumwana is, Lumwana is supporting the locals, and that is up to 80%. My simple question is, how do you rate service delivery from these locals? How is their service delivery? Because we've heard a lot of complaints in the supply chain.
Thank you so much. I think he is now going to attend to these 2 questions.
Thank you very much. Regarding the first question, I think one of the slides I had in my presentation mentioned that we do work with Solwezi Trades, which is called SOTI, Solwezi Trades and Training Institute. And we recognize that, I don't know whether you'd call them our brothers or cousins, First Quantum, also have a very active interaction with that institute. So we think that between the 2 of us, First Quantum and Lumwana, we could examine a way of creating such a program as you suggest. Maybe we can take it offline from this conference and engage directly and see how we can work together to achieve that. So that's very much possible because we are doing other technical artisanal training with SOTI rather. I'm confusing it with the Russian state Sochi, so forgive me. And then regarding the question of service delivery, we have no complaints. As you know, we we employ very stringent requirements, both at a technical level and in terms of the deliverables. So we, so far, don't have any complaints regarding service delivery. We might have one or two cases by exception, which we will deal with administratively and either jettison that contractor or tell them to stop operating. But on the whole, we have no complaints about service delivery regarding our local contractors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How do we appreciate him as we send him back to his seat? Thank you so much, Mr. Chimba. For me now, I have a clear picture of Lumwana. When I think of Northwestern Lumwana, Solwezi, we just hear about gold, copper, what people are fighting. We even fear to go there. But now we have a clear picture. Do you know that thing we call, do you know me? That thing comes out here if you bump yourself into the door. We call it, do you know me? So ask me later, I'll tell you something about that thing. This time, I'll invite my co-presenter to take us into the next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's something common about the two of us. Huh? We are both colored. Thank you. Okay. As we wait for the technical team, because we'll now be crossing over. Thank you. So as we're waiting for our technical team, Mr. Richard to process over to our last presentation before lunch, to the organizing team, kindly help me get Richard as we just wrap up a few things. Then from that presentation, we're going to go to our lunch break. Then we see what follows next, because we have the last part of the presentation. Thank you. So, as the technical team is coming in with a virtual presentation, let me just give you a brief background about the next presenter who will be joining us. Just a minute. Okay, just before I give that brief background, just to add one or two things to what Mr. Chimba said. Deliberately, I excuse myself because it's my boss's boss's boss. Thank you. So there might be a few concerns that people have. I know even as purchasing and supply professionals, you also have maybe your side hustle that you do. So just to add a bit, not to take away anything from what he said, because that person that he mentioned, that is dedicated just for the local procurement thing is me. So there's a technical part, there's a commercial part. So even as you're doing your business, you send an inquiry to us as Nomana, in services especially. We don't have issues with goods because it's straightforward. Services, we'll put an extra thing for technical. Please take care of that. If we ask for the CVs of maybe the people that are leading the projects, the similar works, it cannot be the same, but just similar works. Just pay attention to that, because in terms of the adjudication, there are also marks that are allocated to that. So if you just give us a quotation, you get the 50% maybe for the price, but we'll not just go for you because you're commercially competitive. We also want a person that's technically competitive. So take care of those. In the interim, as my colleague is going to look for the next person before we cross over, I'll just give you a brief background about the next presenter. The next presentation just before our lunch is coming from a Mr. Vincent Mola from the African Union Development Agency. And he'll be talking about elevating the role of African procurement and supply chain through AFCTA implementation and regional localization. So we're still talking of empowering our local Zambian suppliers. So just a brief, just a brief bio about who the presenter that will be virtually joining us. Mr. Vincent Mola is a renowned Zambian procurement specialist with over 20 years of experience in procurement and supply profession. He has risen through the ranks both in the Zambian and internationally, having worked for the government of Zambia, the African Union, the Commission in Ethiopia, African Union Mission in Somalia, based in Kenya and Somalia, then African Union support for Ebola outbreak in West Africa, in Sierra Leone. This is a person that's exposed. Some of us, the abroad we've gone, the furthest is Northwestern. We are abroad. Thank you. We are abroad, but locally. Okay. Then Guinea, Liberia, and African Union Development Agency in South Africa as a procurement expert, and now is the head of procurement and supply in the AU agency called African Union Development Agency, AUDA, formerly known as NEPAD. I'm sure to the old folks, they can relate to that. To us, the BBC, there's BBC, there's, okay, whatever. Okay, so NEPAD's agency in Johannesburg, South Africa. Vincent holds a bachelor's degree, a BSc in international business, acquired from London School of Business. He holds a Master of Science in Strategic Procurement, specializing in supply chain from South Wales University, and also is MSIPS, on the verge of becoming FSIPS. Badi fukuki then sakwaba. Tabadinga ifwe. Kuskuru tuwaideko kutuwala aba nesu. Pakutuwala aba 9. Tuwali pitako na ifwe. Kutawa pechalo. Are we ready to cross over? Just a minute. So in the next few minutes, we should be crossing over. It's just a session that should take us roughly between 25 to 30 minutes, so that we go after that presentation. I don't think we'll have any questions, so that we do not overrun in our afternoon program. At least we've done people that we're going to share the program with them. To the audience, do you have any program with you? So I think we are filling in our duties and going by our motto of a nation of supply chain excellence. If we say we are going to provide, we need to provide. So to the ushers, I'm asking that can you, if it's just one person, get in touch with the back-end office. At least let us have even a few copies of printed programs given to our members and delegates, please. We gave our word that our members will at least follow. It should not just be a privilege of a few that have those copies. We should know where we are. Thank you so much. As that is being looked in presentation. And once more, I just want to say thank you to this audience. You've been a very wonderful audience, very attentive to the presenters, to the speakers, on point, on spot, and I'm sure we're learning a lot of new things. And even the time we leave this place, it is my hope and prayer that we'll go back to our various organizations, a changed people. And let at least the organizations that sent us here, let them see the difference, so that in the near future, we'll not say next year, at least the numbers should be more. If they send 2 of you, let them see the need or the change that is in you, so that at least next time you come, the 4 or 5 of you. So the technical team, are we ready to cross over? I take it we're not. Even as we trying to connect. Okay, even as we waiting to cross over to the presentation, which is a virtual presentation, Just a plea to make also to the delegates that are present.
Yes.
Where's it? Okay, we should be crossing over in the next few seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to Mr. Vincent Mola, the next speaker of
Can
ours.
you hear me?
Mr. Mola, over to you, sir. Mr. Mola, are you able to get me? Seems like we have picture, no sound.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity once again. My name is Vincent Mola, and I hope that I have been introduced. I just got into the call. So my presentation, I'm not sure if you can see it. My presentation is on the AFCTA, African Intercontinental Free Trade Area. And the title of my presentation is Elevating the Role of Africa Supply Chain through the Implementation of Regional and Local Manufacturers. So I would just like to thank the ZIP for this opportunity to talk about the AFCTA. It's basically a policy program being implemented at the continental level. I'm not sure if I can see my presentation.
The presentation, we were thinking in terms of crossing over, it might disturb. I don't know if you're getting, are you able to get us?
Just to confirm if I can get my presentation.
Are you able to get us? Because I'm told there might be a technicality, you might not be getting sound from here. Are you able to get me? I think you can proceed, sir.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen just to make sure it is there. I'm just waiting to be given a green light on the, so that I can share my presentation. Sorry for this.
Apologies, we will proceed without the screen. Then when we get the notes, everyone can assure you will share the presentation with you. So just get in touch with the presenter to proceed with the presentation without sharing the screen. But we can assure you at the end of this, all of this, all the presentation that the presenters have done will be shared with the team. It will be on the website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. So I will talk briefly about like I said, the African Continental Free Trade Area and how it affects the procurement and supply chain on the continent. So in my presentation, I'll just share with you the background of the AFCTA, what it is, so that we can also understand and appreciate perhaps the value of having this program, and also the current state of the AFCTA, which is the whole reason where we are in terms of how far, where it's coming from, and also where we have reached now and where we are going. So my focus will really be on future priorities and also the procurement and supply chain effect. I am mindful of the time, and because of that, I'll really try my best to find the time. So I will just proceed as we put the presentation. So first of all, I wanted to highlight the definition or the concrete meaning of the AFCTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area itself. And it is a free trade area which, as of 2018, included 28 countries. It was created and at the continental level as an agreement among 54 countries. And all the 54 countries, they signed the agreement. We can go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So these are the contents I said I'm going to talk about. You can go to the next slide. Thank you very much. And this is where I am. In terms of the definition and concrete meaning of AFCTA, as you can see, it includes all the 54 countries out of the 55 in Africa, and 28 of them have already signed the agreement, and most of them have ratified. So what is this AFCTA in concrete terms? And we are saying that it is an business, traders and consumers where we will come together as one market or one free trade area and be able to trade goods within our country or within the continent or within ourselves. And basically, if you look at the AFCTA, I'll talk about it much. It is about removing the tariffs. It is about removing the taxes. It is about creating one common market for everybody to participate, and amongst the population in the continent. So we have the roadmap, which talks about the free trade area, which talks about the common market, which talks about the monetary union, and also at the end of the day, it is supposed to be an economic community built around the African continent. So as to understand a little bit, I want to emphasize that all the constraints the traders are having now in terms of non-tariff barriers, including burdens on the customs lengthy procedures and excessive paperwork which is involved in all these processes of import and export. This AFCTA will make it easier for all of us because all those tariffs and non-trade barriers will be removed. So in concrete terms, that's what it means. It means that there will be a lot of cooperation between countries. Customs authority will no longer be concentrating on clearing our goods and services and the cumbersome customs procedures, but they will be concentrating on standards and regulations to make sure that the trade or transit of goods and services is done quicker and facilitated easier in terms of the flow of goods and services amongst the African countries. And also, we are saying, if you go to the next slide, if you go to the next slide, please. We are also saying that just before this one, the one before this. Thank you very much. We are also saying that through progressive liberalization of services, service suppliers will have access to the markets of all African countries in terms of less favorable and domestic suppliers. So we are saying the market will be liberalized. Countries will open up to each other's populations and allow service providers or professionals to go into those markets and other countries to provide the services which is required. And then we are saying there will be mutual recognition of standards, licensing, certification of service suppliers. Will make it easy for businesses and individuals to satisfy regulatory requirements of operating in each other's country. Again, and this is a point where we are saying it will be easier for trade between African countries and will facilitate establishment of value chains, regional value chains, which inputs are sourced from different countries to add value from exporting externally. So here we are saying the emphasis will be to establish local businesses, local industries. And how do we do that? We want to say that each country will be pronounced in terms of what exactly they are good at, what exactly they can sell on the market, on this common market. And if industries are established, raw materials will be available from other countries to make sure that whatever we want to make or produce as a country or as countries is produced in a way that will actually promote trade. So again, that is a very good opportunity for us to establish industries, because here we are talking about a $2 trillion US dollar market, and that's a lot of money in terms of having an opportunity which will speak to what we should actually produce. And this is what we are saying. We have to establish value chains in each country. To protect against anticipated trade surges, state parties will have recourse to trade remedies, ensure domestic industries can be safeguarded. And again, the AFCTA itself safeguards local produce, safeguards local goods and services. And we will talk about the rules of origin as we go on. But this is the issue this is the beauty about the AFCTA, because it will protect our local industries in Africa, it will protect our local industries in the countries, to make sure that this is exactly what we want to achieve. As the minister, I think I was listening, I was following what the minister was saying when he was saying we need to embrace our local professionals, we need to embrace our local entrepreneurship, so that at least it can build our industries and capacities to produce goods and services. So this is what the AFCTA aims at doing. And if you look at the phases it has gone, or actually even the negotiation phases it is going, we will be talking about how we create anti-competitive challenges which have been challenging in the past, how we create intellectual properties amongst ourselves, so that at least we can whatever we are going to innovate will remain here, and people would not just pick it and then go with it. Next slide. So I'll not waste time on the roadmap, because the roadmap is just the roadmap the AFCTA is using. And as you can see, the treaty establishing the African Economic Community, it was the Abuja Treaty, which lays out the detailed time and bound schedule for the AFCTA to come together, and other interventions like the establish and strengthen the regional economic communities, and which is happening now. We have the COMESA, your SADC, your ECOWAS, we have your East African Community, IGAD, and all those RECs. They have already established these regulations we are talking about. What is remaining, and what the Continental Africa Free Trade Area will do, is to bring those RECs together and merge as one continent or market that will be created. So we already have these in the regions, and I think the issue is to
these things that came with our colleagues from the West, sometimes they fail us, huh? So please bear with us. We're doing our level best to normalize. So, kila kitu kifike, but we promise as soon as we get the correct signal and everything, we should be able to cross back. So please bear with us. Intermittent. Paliwako ekisungo kya ife abaire ku school ati intermittent